Hello and welcome to News Round, a recap of stories in the week. I'm Teniola Shoboale. The headlines. Federal High Court sentences former chairman of the House Ad hoc Committee on Fuel Subsidy Probe, Farouk Lawan, to 7-year jail term for receiving $500,000 bribe from Femi Otedola. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo gives assurance that Nigeria will continue to exist as a united country. Federal High Court in Abuja awards 82 billion naira in favor of the Benue community in Akwa Ibom State against the NNPC and Mobil producing Nigeria over oil spillage. Number of persons missing in Miami building collapse rises to 159. That's News Round in View. News Round begins with the end to the 8-year legal battle involving a former chairman of the House of Representatives Ad hoc Committee on Fuel Subsidy Probe, Mr. Farouk Lawan. A Federal Capital Territory High Court in Abuja sentenced the former lawmaker to 7 years in prison for demanding and collecting bribe to the tune of $500,000. The former lawmaker had been standing trial since 2013 on a 3-count charge bordering on demanding for and collecting bribe from the chairman of Zenon Petroleum and Gas Limited, Mr. Femi Otedola, in order to exonerate his company from the list of corporate entities indicted in the 2012 fuel subsidy probe.
Take a listen to this audio conversation.
Yes, I don't bring it to my house.
Okay, you take it to your house?
No, I don't want to bring it to my house. It's a lot of money.
Yes. So where? Because I am rushing to the airport now.
Yeah, they're at the airport in the aircraft.
And before they can come over now, unless I send somebody to the airport, I was coming. I can't. By the time they come, I should be in the chambers. I have a lot of things to do myself.
Is there anybody you trust I can give it to, or maybe I should just? Or maybe I should postpone my China till tomorrow.
No, it's okay. I would arrange with someone. Let me give you his number.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
His number is 080.
Hold on. 080.
36. 51. 33. 55.
What's his name?
Yeah, TJ.
Sorry?
TJ.
TJ.
No, TJ.
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 Okay.
Yeah, TJ.
So I'll give him the balance. That's
Okay.
$2.5 million, yeah?
That's right. Just hold on. I'm calling him to be sure he's finished.
This is the genesis of what has culminated in the conviction of Farouk Lawan, the former chairman of the House of Representatives Ad hoc Committee on Fuel Subsidy Probe. The former lawmaker faced a 3-count charge bordering on asking for and collection of $500,000 bribe from the chairman of Zenon Petroleum and Gas Limited, Mr. Femi Otedola. For 8 solid years since 2013, both the prosecution and defense counsel tried to prove their case before the court. But almost 6 years after the case was transferred to Justice Angela Otaluka of the FCT High Court in 2015, it's now Judgment Day. Delivering her verdict, Justice Otaluka affirms that both the evidence before the court and the testimonies from defense and prosecution counsel established the case against the defendant and found him guilty on counts 1, 2, and 3. The defendant is accordingly sentenced to a 7-year jail term for count 1, another 7 years for count 2, and 5 years for count 3, sentences the judge says will run concurrently. The court also orders the defendant to pay the sum of $500,000 to the federal government account. However, the defense counsel expresses his displeasure with the judgment and vows to appeal it.
We are clearly dissatisfied with the judgment delivered by the court for very serious legal issues, and there is no doubt that we are appealing the judgment.
This conviction may likely not be the end of the case, but for now, the former lawmaker is driven away from the court premises in a Hilux van belonging to the Nigeria Correctional Service.
Meanwhile, the Senate is threatening to publish the names of government ministries, departments and agencies which failed to appear before its Public Accounts Committee to defend queries issued by the Auditor General of the Federation. Senate President Ahmed Lawan issued the threat after the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee submitted the annual report of the Auditor General of the Federation on the accounts of the Federation for the year ended 31st December 2015.
For more than 4 months, the Senate Public Accounts Committee has been inviting heads of government agencies to respond to queries on financial infractions and mismanagement of funds detailed in the 2015 audit report prepared by the Auditor General of the Federation. The committee has concluded the first part of its engagement with the MDAs, and the chairman presents the report on its findings during Wednesday's plenary session.
Such attitude of interagency lack of cooperation constitutes a barrier to efficient...
In the report, queries on financial violations issued against 59 of the agencies by the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation were sustained, while those against 46 other agencies were vacated. Notable among the agencies whose queries were sustained include the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs, Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, Nigerian Army, and the Nigerian Ports Authority.
In the course of the consultation of the General's report, the committee observed and noted issues that warrant urgent parliamentary and executive attention. Consistent contravention of relevant constitutional provisions and non-extant laws by the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation. Prevalence of unwholesome financial practices by some principal revenue agencies which have negative implications on the revenue generation efforts of government.
However, 7 agencies listed in the report did not respond to a series of invitations sent to them to defend their queries.
This Senate will publish the names of these agencies for the public to know. This Senate will insist any public servant or civil servant that is given the public fund for public good and has questions to answer and refuse to appear to answer should have no business being in government.
A report of this magnitude, which details financial infractions by several government agencies, is not one the Senate intends to rush through, and lawmakers have been issued copies of the report to examine and make contributions on a later date. Meanwhile, the Senate is passing the 895.8 billion naira supplementary budget through second reading. The Committee on Appropriation will work on the budget and report back to the Senate. Linda Akibe, Channels Television News.
Those waiting for Nigeria to break up so they can take its pieces for their own will be disappointed. Those were the words of the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, at the maiden edition of the All Progressives Congress Progressives Youth Conference at the International Conference Center, Abuja. The event had in attendance APC youth leaders from across the country, party leaders and government officials, while conversations circled around youth inclusiveness in party politics and the positioning of young people for the 2023 general elections.
It was a chance to take a stand for the new guard of the All Progressives Congress, a predominantly young guard bent on taking over a lot of the party's affairs and taking power come the 2023 elections.
And for the first time in 20 years, President Muhammadu Buhari, the name Muhammadu Buhari will not be on the ballot. That means that the party will have to go and look for its votes where the votes are residual. The president will transfer some of his votes to us. The party has transformed itself under the leadership of the National Caretaker Committee chairman. But But more importantly, the votes are with young people.
The Speaker of the House of Representatives, speaking virtually, called for effective leadership recruitment if the APC wants to survive the years ahead. Others call for caution.
I implore you all and every young Nigerian to never despair, nor relent in our joint task of nation building. Remember, we have no other country but Nigeria.
Progressive elements with evil interest in causing confusion, creating and fanning hate and disunity will always rely on you to achieve such negative and patriotic tendencies. You must resist them.
I'm crossing the aisle to the other side now, from youth to the other side. You will also have to be patient and go through the mentorship system in political parties. You must be patient also. You must be on the queue. Be on the queue, you will be recognized.
Not many young politicians here are willing to wait in line any longer.
I totally disagree with Mr. Festus Keyamo. I totally disagree with him. We will not wait. If we wait for him, that tomorrow will never come. Unfortunately, Mr. Festus Keyamo said power is not served, it is taken. We are going to take it.
All political parties in Nigeria have been accused of not having actual ideologies and just being vehicles used to attain political power. This notion is debunked by several speakers at the event, notably the Minister of Works and Housing.
For me, what being a progressive simply means is a commitment to improving the human condition.
Change can only be implemented by those in political office, says the Vice President. He restates the need for a united country fair to its citizens.
Those who advocate the breaking up of the country are terribly wrong. Our size is crucial for geopolitical and economic relevance. All of those waiting on the sidelines, hoping that this big country called Nigeria will break up into bits so that they can pick up the pieces, will be very sorely disappointed.
How positioned the All Progressives Congress is for the 2023 general elections is still to be seen. However, these young minds say they are poised for the job ahead and will wait for their turn no more. Kayla Megwa, Channels Television News.
The debate over the suspension of Twitter operations in Nigeria continues, and the Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, has been defending the federal government's decision, saying it was not taken because President Muhammadu Buhari's tweet was taken down, but that the suspension was a long time coming. He says Twitter played an unsavory role during the EndSARS protest and used its platform to raise funds for the protesters.
As directed by the leadership of the House of Representatives, 5 committees meet with the Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, to unravel the circumstances leading to the Twitter suspension and its legality.
The platform of choice.
The minister begins by explaining the reasons behind the suspension and alleges complicity of Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey in the EndSARS protest.
The same Twitter played a very unsavory role by making available its platform to retweet, not just retweet the messages of the EndSARS protesters, but raising funds for the EndSARS protesters before it was hijacked by hoodlums. Jack Dorsey crowdfunded the activities of EndSARS. That's why we believe that Twitter's mission in Nigeria is suspect.
He goes further to quote laws which empowered the federal government to issue the suspension.
But until so incorporated, the foreign company shall not carry on business in Nigeria or exercise any powers of a registered company. That's the Section 78(1) of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020.
But lawmakers question the timing of the suspension, which came just after the president's tweet was taken down, and are also concerned about the negative impact on businesses which depend on Twitter.
The pressure that people have is that the Twitter took down a statement that was made by the president, just like how they took down a statement that was made by Donald Trump of America.
We have to consider the economic dethronement of the mass of Nigerian youths who live and survive trading on Twitter, doing so many other things. We did not suspend the activities of Twitter because they deleted Mr. President's tweet. Not at all. Have we taken into consideration Nigerians doing business on Twitter? And the answer is yes. There are other platforms, Facebook, Google Hangout, WhatsApp, for people to use.
The Minister of Information says that the federal government has approved a committee to engage with Twitter, and that as part of the conditions for lifting the suspension, Twitter must first register with the Corporate Affairs Commission and get a license, and that subsequently all the conditions will follow. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
When News Round returns in just a moment, Liberia's former president, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, reminds Nigeria of gender equality role in Africa. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. Liberia's former president, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, is urging the Nigerian government to live up to its leadership role in Africa by electing more women in leadership roles in its government. Mrs. Johnson Sirleaf was speaking at the 60th birthday symposium organized for the Deputy United Nations Secretary General, Amina Mohammed, at the Yaradua Center in Abuja. It was an evening of encomiums and high praise for Her Excellency Amina Jane Mohammed. This symposium is organized in recognition of the career she has had, her impact on human lives, and doing Nigeria proud as the #2 public servant in the world.
Since her appointment as Deputy Secretary General and as Chair of the United Nations Sustainable Development Group, Amina Mohammed has again driven the campaign for the issues under her purview from the front. The mother of 6 has since led the reform of the UN development system and the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals that she has previously helped to give birth to.
Overcoming the challenges of Africa's transformation is the focus of the keynote address delivered by the former Liberian President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. After noting the impact Amina Mohammed has had in the drive for the Millennium Development Goals, the Sustainable Development Goals, her work as Minister of Environment, the former president described her as a force of nature and consensus builder. She also speaks on Nigeria's role in gender equality as a leading country in Africa.
That I've wanted to ask. In Nigeria, to whom we look to for leadership. Leadership in all aspects of our endeavor. Why have we not had a woman governor? The office of authority. At the local level, which speaks to the acceptance of women leadership once it has been rightfully earned. I thank those who have talked about deputy governors and to you, Excellency, from Gombe State. But I still ask another question. What will it require and when to have the second elected woman president in Africa?
Amina Mohammed has constantly stated that she will not be running for president of Nigeria, and she reiterates this at this conversation, a fact which she says will be a source of relief for some people.
I had an avalanche of texts and goodwill messages, and everyone was congratulating me for second term. And I said to my colleagues, you know, it's not for the second term, it's because I'm not coming to run for president of Nigeria. So she's out of the way now. But you know, women are not out of the way. Amina Mohammed may not be there, but there are other women there, and they must be given a chance, at least to show how far they can go, and an equal, playing field that they can get into, and I think they can do it. The votes are with us, and they're with the young people. And I think if we get it right, maybe you can get a president that is a inshallah.
Her Excellency Amina Jane Mohammed has left a legacy that will last for generations and inspiration for many young women in Nigeria, from an illustrious work career to an amazing family life. She said when she comes back from her second term as Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, she will be focusing on family life, but has made it clear that she will be willing to serve another woman president. Kayla Megwa, Channels Television News.
And now, after several years of legal battle, reprieve and justice have finally come to the way of the people of Ibeno community in Akwa Ibom State over oil spills that have caused environmental degradation in their communities. That's because the Federal High Court in Abuja awarded the sum of 82 billion naira in favor of the community against the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation and Mobil Producer Nigeria. Justice Taiwo ordered that the sum must be paid within 14 days.
This is a culmination of 9 years of legal tussle following the allegation of environmental pollution in Ibno community by oil companies. Presiding Judge Justice Taiwo held that the set of witnesses from the defendants proved through their testimonies that the spills did occur, but with no proof of payment of compensation to the affected communities. He described their action as a display of negligence. He therefore awarded the sum of 82 billion naira against the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, and Mobil Producing Nigeria.
Congratulations to the people of Ibeno community in Akwa Ibom State, from where 353 oil wells are being produced by ExxonMobil through their subsidiaries in joint venture with the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. The whole world is screaming, let's go green, let's go green. In Nigeria, it is let's go black, let's go black. We do hope that people will learn to act responsibly in terms of the environment and the welfare of the larger society when their appetite for fossil fuel had left them to become so reckless while lining up their pockets.
We are going to consult our client and review the judgment, so a pretty long one. And then at the end of it, we'll know the right action to take.
The community expressed delight on the outcome of the judgment and urged the oil companies to obey the verdict.
We are trusting that ExxonMobil will find us as their first-line security and support us in enhancing the peaceful environment for their business to strive. That without us offering that peaceful environment, they will not be making these billions of dollars. And it's time for them not only to pay back for the damage they have caused, but to show that sense of responsibility that this community means a lot to them.
The oil companies had been sued by the community for the sum of 100 billion naira in compensation for years of economic damages and environmental pollution.
News round ends in the United States, where the number of people listed as missing after the collapse of a 12-story building in Miami has risen to 159. 4 people are known to have died. On Friday, the mayor of Miami-Dade County said they still had hope of finding survivors. Search teams working around the clock reported hearing people banging beneath the rubble. As rescue crews search through the rubble of a 12-story apartment block in Miami, friends and family of its residents anxiously wait to hear news of their loved ones.
I don't even know if family and friends are okay at the moment right now that we're on the ocean side of the ocean view of this building. And as you can see, literally the entire half of the building is completely demolished and on the floor in pieces and everything, and I have no words to explain really what's going on through my mind.
Overnight, hundreds of rescuers used sonar cameras as they scoured the rubble for survivors. At least 120 people have now been accounted for, but it's uncertain how many were in the building when it came down. Dozens of people, including a young boy, have been evacuated from what's left of the structure. At least 4 people have been confirmed dead and over 150 missing. Officials say the building remains unstable, which makes rescue efforts more difficult.
Unfortunately, this has been a tragic night. We do have 120 people now accounted for, which is very, very good news. But our unaccounted for number has gone up to 159. In addition, we can tragically report the death count is now 4. I want to be very clear about the numbers. They're very fluid. We'll continue to update you as we have them, but we have confirmed 4 deaths.
We have hope, and every time that we hear sound, we concentrate in that area. So we send additional teams, utilizing the devices, utilizing K9, utilizing personnel. So as we continue to hear those sounds, we concentrate in those areas.
What caused the 40-year-old high-rise to collapse remains unclear, though local officials said the tower was undergoing recertification repairs. President Joe Biden has approved an emergency declaration for Florida, meaning the Federal Emergency Management Agency will help state agencies with the relief effort. And that's News Round this week. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Tenyo Olashoboale. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.